finally, a source of raw, real, and honest information on healthcare issues that matter most. Welcome to BS Free MD. From the latest medical information to how to stay sane as a doctor or a patient, no subject is taboo, no BS is allowed. Now, let's welcome your hosts, Doctors May and Tim Hindmarsh.
We are no longer physicians. We're providers.
Ask your baby's permission.
Gay people, you have become a product. Should auto insurance cover STD? Are you freaking kidding me? So you demean us. You don't get a parade for a sexual preference. To not hurt the feelings of somebody with a fraction of my training. That a beaver's ass presented this to the world. It's a natural flavor. But you are literally an ice cube in a martini shaker.
Fuck it. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live. And things suck.
Coming to you live once again. Hello and welcome to another Doctales with Cocktail. First mine, I must say. He's poured a drink and mine is...
Somebody...
You know what?
This
is what I get, an empty glass.
Somebody named Dr. Hindmarsh, and it wasn't me, had a little too much wine last night and didn't feel good today. She had the bottle flu.
I didn't feel good in the middle of the night. And today was just slow going. Let me just say,
crazy times.
Drinking too much wine is not the beverage of choice you want to drink too much of. There is a lot of sugar. And we were wine tasting at Cooper's Hawk. And let me just say, mixing all the flavors, the bubblies, the whites, the reds, the heavies, on hardly any lunch, hardly any fluids beforehand. That means water. I'm bad. Anyway,
yes. I, on the other
set
hand,
me up for a long, and then we had to have nightcaps, and I topped that off with the vodka.
Oh, the nightcap.
The cocktail of some kind.
Yeah, it was tons of sugar. The nightcap was spectacular from Good Liquid Distillery in the Lakewood Ranch, Waterside. Holy moly!
Anyways, so I don't condone what I did, and have not done that for a long time. Anyway, here we are. Good. I am dry. I'm having a dry day on this Friday, and Tim is sipping on a little drink he'll share with you later. We have some fun stories. I think they're all travel related, if I'm not mistaken.
We have a medical history story that we teased last week, or almost 2 weeks ago, because I was super sick, and people are like, "Did you have the vid?" And I said, "How would I know when I never test myself?"
Correct.
I had a upper respiratory virus, so yes, it could have been anything. And you could name it Vid, you could name it Bill, you could name it Bob.
Let's just say you kept on sharing.
Oh, dude, it was.
And then I got it. And here we are. Well, let's start off and start sharing some fun stories. What do you got for us first?
Okay, so so this is kind of an interesting story. So we're going to go after Disney a little bit. And so, you think you go to Disney and you get the smiling happy mouse. And then you start to realize that the little white gloved hand is always reaching for money. And then the story we're going to talk about that's been in the news, it's more like you're dealing with what I like to call Ricky the Rat.
That guy.
Look at that guy. Unbelievable. Ricky the Rat. And
that's a really kind of a cool sticker bumper.
Oh, I love that.
I don't know.
No, we're going to be doing Disney stuff.
You should show that one again.
So we'll Ricky the Rat. You want to see Ricky the Rat?
He's got that. Is that a handful of money?
Handful of money. He's got.
But no, anyway.
Yeah, no, Ricky the Rat is amazing. It's more than Mickey Mouse.
All right,
It's
so
Ricky the Rat.
what did Ricky the Rat do?
Okay, so let's look at this. This is absolutely crazy.
But they signed, when they signed up for that Disney Plus, affected what happened to them at Disney World.
Let me explain exactly
Correct?
what happened. Correct. So what happened was this woman goes to Disney World and she is on the property. She's actually at a restaurant that is not owned by Disney, but they have subcontractors. So they still have some liability. And they she's like, they have a sign outside that they're really allergy friendly, all this kind of stuff. And all this kind of business. And so anyways, what happens is she has terrible allergies, like peanut allergies and whatever else. And she tells the waiter, there can be zero cross contamination. Like, it's not like this, it's like peanut oil. It's like nothing can be cooked and cross contaminated. And they're like, yeah, no problem. We got your back. So anyways, they bring her the food. She has an anaphylactic reaction and she dies. Okay. So they're like, well, this is crazy. We did everything we could. We did all the due diligence. She has a friend there saying, she told them numerous times and they still mess this up and she ends up dying. So obviously they're going to go after the mouse or the rat, as the case may be, because that's the deepest pocket. So they go to sue Disney. And what Disney does is because it's the husband now suing because his wife is dead. And he had signed up for a free trial of Disney Plus, the streaming service. And in that streaming service, terms of service, it says you can't sue Disney for anything. You have to go to arbitration immediately. So he's like, well, this is ridiculous. I signed up for a free trial like 2 years ago. You guys completely screwed up with your restaurant and killed my freaking wife. And I have no recourse because a document I signed on my television 2 years ago.
Apparently. So we'll see what the courts say. But
no, we won't.
Oh.
Because what happened was the story blew up. And this makes Ricky the Rat look even more ratty-like than he normally is. So Disney backed out and said, yeah, you can sue us.
They backed out and said,
well, yes, because or no, what they actually said is, we'll let the courts decide. And the reason is simple. Disney Plus is the future of that brand. And it has not done very well because they've made a lot of woke crap. So they've pissed off all the Star Wars people when they had the lesbian witch coven in the Accolade, to the point where the show was so poorly reviewed that they just like stopped making it. They're like, it's not going to work. So Disney Plus costs a lot of money because these are super, super high budget, productions that they're doing. And so you need a lot of subscribers. And so they're sitting there thinking, I can tell you, I've been in boardrooms. I know exactly what they said. They're sitting there going, look, if we got to pay this guy even $100 million, which it won't be, it'll be $2 or $3 million. It would not be a ton of money.
It's go away money.
To go away for this suit where there's clear liability, right? And it doesn't piss people off from trying Disney Plus. It's a no-brainer because they could lose 100 million in subscribers in like 20 seconds because the subscription volume is what makes them money.
I'm thinking,
right?
Or the park, if people aren't going to.
Well, the park, the park
that's been happening.
The park's a problem because the park hasn't necessarily, the parks have not done as well. And it's so prohibitively expensive. I read an article about how the parks now are so expensive. People are literally saying, okay, do I want to go to Orlando in the middle of July where I literally have to wear a diaper for my ass sweat? Or do I want to take my kids and go to Europe and it's the same exact amount of money? It's like, I can go to Orlando and literally recreate the Marianas Trench in my butt crack, or I can go to Europe and maybe spend $2,000 more. So people are like, screw it. Like, why don't we actually go to a real vacation? Like, actually take them and show them the actual
I'm thinking
Acropolis and go to, Greece and go to Rome and do all this stuff.
it's not just butt sweat. It's, that. Have you seen that? You've seen that meme. Friends have sent it, the humidity. It's all about the humidity.
Yes. Yeah.
You got to look that one up.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Some of us do get humidity. But back to this is medical podcast, BS Free MD. What about that actual medical event, though, that took his wife? That's horrifically sad.
No, it's horrifically sad. But the other side of that coin is, look, I'm a fledgling, aging action sports athlete. So I've been doing, skydiving and motorcycle and motocross and kiteboarding and skiing and all of these activities. And what you learn in those sports very quickly is the people that do them really well and are in their 60s and 70s are unbelievably cautious because they've buried enough friends and they understand risk parameters or risk lanes, right? So you see a risk lane and you go, okay, I get skydiving now. If I fly,
risk of eating food, can you wrap this up?
I will wrap it up. So you understand risk parameters. It's like you don't go outside the lane. And I'm like, if you're going to die because somebody fried your fish and chips in a little basket that had peanut oil in it 2 hours ago, then you should never eat out. Like that, to me, that's a simple thing. It's like you should never eat out. You should bring a sandwich. You should have 100% of control over that because why would you, the whole point of risk mitigation is redundancy and control.
And there's just got to be times in your life when you're just like, I can't live in this prison at home with my own little sandwich.
Well, I get that, but
anyway,
I get that. I'm a I ride.
A tough
generally,
situation.
I ride a motorcycle 6,000 miles a year. Yeah. I get it. It's not good for your health. I understand, but the risk benefit ratio works for me. And the fact is, I don't know in what world cross contamination to that degree that kills you works.
Probably depends on how bad it is. Obviously, I mean,
it was bad enough to kill. I mean, unless they really, really screwed up the meal, which they could have. But that do you understand? Like there's a point where it's like, okay,
I get it.
I like drinking. If you drink again, you will die. Well, I wouldn't drink again. Like it's not hard.
It's a little different, but anyway.
Well, yeah, but even if you said you have a 10% chance, like that you're gonna just like make a cocktail and you're gonna freaking just die, and you're gonna die a horrible, anxiety-provoked.
It's the unknown of food. You tell people that there's not supposed to be that in it, and I mean, I don't know. That'd be like you going skydiving and someone packs your rig and they said, "Yeah, I packed it right," and you put it on, and
but you're actually trusting somebody else that you absolutely have zero data on. No, it's not the same. It's not the same. When I have somebody pack a parachute for me, my reserve parachute is packed by a certified rigger.
Right.
So some drunk, stoned a-hole can pack my main and it can come out like a gigantic turd.
Please no.
And you cut that away and generally the people you let pack your reserve is either you because you're a certified rigger or somebody you personally know.
Well, anyway.
Which is not cross-contamination of food. It's like, holy crap. I'm sorry.
You're right. I mean, it is about risk mitigation and all things.
Yeah, but people don't look at life in risk parameters. They don't.
No,
they don't. It's like, let me see. I've got the $200,000 and I have COPD. And I've always wanted to climb Everest. What could possibly go wrong?
Next.
Okay, next.
And remember.
Okay, so this is...
When you're sharing the bumper, you can't talk because they can't hear you.
I know. I don't. You do, though. I'm just saying. Okay, this one, we're going to do a little medical history segment that I've wanted to do for a really long time. So here we go.
Holy moly!
Okay, so that's not the
I didn't
medical...
try to talk. That was usually my one chance to get a word in. I'm kidding.
That's not the medical history we're after. We're actually after like ancient medical history, which is crazy. So this one, I'll have to read some of this to you because it's amazing. It's amazing.
We got our listening ears on as usual, Tim.
So Ravenholme, half mile west of Dr. Jesse Bennett. Okay, so Jesse Bennett is the first physician to do a successful cesarean section in the United States ever in 1794. And he did it on his wife.
Didn't we cover this before?
I don't know that we did.
Yes, we have. We've covered this story before, but that was a couple years. That was probably. I remember doing it.
Like, this is such a crazy. Yeah, I think we did. We may have done it, but that's okay. I can't remember, so no one else can either.
Have another cocktail.
So he was.
But we're revisiting it because we really love fascinating medical stories, the history behind it.
Well, and we're working on another potential
segment.
That,
let's just say.
So his wife Elizabeth had a prolonged labor, and he called in his buddy, who was also a physician, Humphrey, and they determined that the only options were a cesarean section or a craniotomy on the baby, which meant they would crush the skull of the kid to get the baby out and hopefully save the mother. Humphrey chickened out and refused to do anything, feeling that either operation meant certain death for both the mother and the infant. And that was probably very good medical judgment. Humphrey then buggers off. Desperate to save her child, Elizabeth begged her husband to perform the cesarean section. Now, we have been talking about risk mitigation. Actually, in this scenario where you're guaranteed, if you had done a craniotomy and delivered the baby, you probably would have killed the mother as well. And the reason was this was 1794. So she, with a prolonged labor, so she would have either bled out or she would have died of an infection, like almost guaranteed.
Yeah, or some embolus from the baby.
Like almost guaranteed.
Like a fat embolus.
So if you had a viable infant at that point, from a risk benefit ratio, the no-brainer thing to do would be to do the cesarean section. Mm-hmm. And the reason is, especially if your wife and the mother of your child is begging you to save the child, which is usually what they're going to do, right? And so, at least if they're not from the DNC, but that's a different
What year is this again?
1794.
And how many had been done before this?
0.
So she's basically saying, cut me open and take
She's basically saying the most motherly, selfless thing you can say, which is kill me and save the baby.
Yes.
I mean, that's literally what she's saying. I mean, I don't know how else you can interpret that, right? Even though, a week ago, the DNC had a gigantic inflatable IUD and free vasectomies that you could get whilst you went in, and free abortions.
I think some of them should be having vasectomies. They can't reproduce.
Well, no, they are. They're killing themselves. They're killing their own population. Whatever. Wow. I digress.
An inflatable IUD.
A gigantic inflatable IUD. Anyway, so he cut his wife's abdomen open with a single swoop, blah, blah, blah. He used a makeshift operating table where he threw some boards up on a couple tables, and the assistant was a slave that they had.
Wasn't a guy from the butcher shop?
And anyways.
That would have been more apropos.
She survived and lived another 30 or 35 years. And the baby survived. Mm-hmm. Elizabeth Bennett, the wife, lived for 36 more years, passing away on April 20th, 1830. Maria Bennett, the baby, lived till 1870, married twice, and bore 6 children. So
how many of those were born by C-section is what I want.
I would reckon, to use an old West Virginia term, I would reckon 0. So he did not. So the thing that's really crazy about this, which goes back to medical orthodoxy, is Bennett didn't report the operation during his life because he was scared to death that he was going to be ridiculed for trying to do this and was murdering his wife. He didn't report it during his life. It was long believed the first American successful C-section had been performed in 1827. So like 50 years later by John Lambert in Ohio. Coincidentally, only 10 miles from Bennett's practice.
Whoa. So that is really cool.
Yeah. But then what happened is...
And is that because he learned it from him?
Well, we don't know. But what ended up happening is Bennett died and all this information leaked out. There was... Because, it was a huge deal, right? It's like his wife is going to die in labor, which was very common. he saves them both.
Did he perform more on other people?
I don't know.
So why don't we learn more of this stuff in medical school? We take a bunch of stupid, at least we did, some other stupid classes. Whereas this stuff is totally fascinating. I mean, if you had a professor that was a gynae professor that was teaching about a certain topic and had an interest in history, they would maybe throw in some of this now and then. But I wish I learned more of this.
Well, yes, but there's a reason to learn about this, which is it makes you think for yourself. Because when you understand that medicine always wasn't the same, and that it changes and flows, and that it has an unbelievably deep and sickening and amoral authoritarian streak, then you're like, I might question the shit they're telling me. That's not how you want to train doctors.
Oh, no,
you want to train doctors
follow the status
to
quo.
just follow the status quo.
You don't want to go rogue unless you are off in the third world where there's no other option.
No. It's like when we did the show about Claude Beck or
and
Claude,
no lawyers.
Claude Beck, who was experimenting by himself on defibrillation and saved the kid's life. Like that would never in a bazillion years happen now.
No, we talked about that before. You're exactly right. Like I said.
So if you understand medical history, you understand medical history, and you understand that it's unbelievably glorious and at the same time unbelievably jacked up.
I did a lot of horrible, weird shit. I like putting leeches on people and bleeding them, and
but it worked.
All kinds of enemas and things.
It worked in like 1 in 1,000 people where you had the right disease for leeches, right?
Transfusing each other with the wrong blood. Anyway.
Well, the history of blood transfusions is
we've done that one too.
Fascinating.
We've done that one too.
It's just like
more great medical stories in history to come. I love it. Now we've been flying the friendly skies.
But this one is called hang on. This one is called
Unfriendly Skies. Okay.
Fly the Unfriendly Skies.
Because as we started to take off in a really fancy, what was that? A321 Neo Airbus. And Tim mentioned.
Yeah, it's the Neo Airbus. I'm waiting for them to give me the red pill as I get on the plane.
Didn't you mention something about the other planes crashing? I don't know. I got down this bunny trail of looking up plane incidents. And lo and behold, all these medical events started popping up. And I've thought of this before and wondered, because, you're sitting there in that seat after someone else has been in it literally 30 seconds before you. They haul their butts out of the plane. Someone comes through really fast, the cleaning crew, to pick up the garbage pretty much, wipe the seat off with a quick flick of the hand, empty the plane garbage. They don't even have time to clean the bathrooms, I'm sure. And on comes the next round of people in the crew, and away you go. And I sat there in those cloth seats many times thinking, what kind of ooze, germs, and other creatures? Because we've seen patients who have body lice come in.
So has that ever happened, May? Let's get a picture of lice on someone's hair. Look at how delicious that is. The little tiny creatures stuck to your hair.
Well,
all grossed
that's
out.
hair lice, which people will argue it's not as contagious unless, you're sharing a helmet but if your head's been on an airplane seat, I don't need a helmet to transfer it. I don't want to put my head on it. And so, good grief, body lice is highly contagious. Remember, we would shut down a whole room and they had to seal the doors and fumigate it for 48 hours before we could go in it. So I looked it up to see. And of course, lo and behold, wouldn't you know it, American Airlines flight had to divert to Phoenix after lice was found in a passenger's hair. Now, this was written August 4th of this year. So this happened June when an American Airlines flight got diverted because passengers reported lice crawling all over this lady's hair. And I don't know. I can't even imagine they would divert a whole plane. But 2 passengers saw bugs crawling out of her hair. They notified the flight attendant. And at that point, they basically thought it was a hazardous health risk to all people on the plane. And a decision was made to turn it around. They say It might seem like this diversion was an overreaction. It is important to keep in mind that the cabin crew members, along with the flight crew members, are responsible for passenger safety. And considering the nature of the bugs, and that it was unclear exactly what it could be and how intense the infestation might get on board the aircraft, they decided to turn it around. Apparently,
So how do they deal
apparently
with that?
they say that's why cabin crew members often will use spray cans that kill insects.
So how does that happen?
I've never
though?
seen that.
Like, how does that? Like, what do they say? I want to know. We need to talk. We need to talk to our buddy that lives in Clearwater, who's the retired pilot, and ask him, like, when this happens, what do they say?
We're going to be turning around and going back for an hour because the bitch in 36A has bugs crawling out of her hair, and we don't want you infested. Thank you for flying United Airlines, and you'll get 10% off when you sign up for United Airlines credit card, 50,000 miles, and free permethrin for your lice infestation.
Like, seriously, what do they say? Like, do they say like how do you deal with that? Like, because you can't say that, but can you say we've had an incident? Well, what's the incident? Because everyone's going to then poo their pants.
No, they would say
that they're losing an engine, or that they've ran out of gas, or that
I guarantee you this is how it would go down.
There's
a passenger having a medical event on the plane. Yes. They're stable, but for the safety of them and others, we are turning this plate around. That would be it.
There's been a medical event, and she's a filthy whore.
Like, I mean, like, seriously.
That's sad. I mean,
like,
lice is awful. It's happened to so many people. It doesn't matter how clean you are, and people that have kids in sports. I would never let our kids wear those helmets at the Boys and Girls Club.
Totally disagree.
Totally
disagree. We have seen tons of patients. We have been in the third world where every other kid we saw was infested with lice, and we never got it ever. Do you know why? Because we took showers every day.
Bullshit.
You're like, it doesn't matter how clean you are. It entirely matters how clean you are. There are bugs that stick to your hair. Like, come on.
No. Come on is right. Kids, they share those helmets on sports. In winter climates, they share toques, beanies.
What the hell's a toque? No one
You go skiing, you rent. I don't know. I was going to say you probably rent. Some people probably rent it when they go.
Oh, renting.
to the ski hill.
No. You do not rent ski boots.
It's
renting
so easy
ski
to
boots.
Get that. You don't have to be a dirty person, and you can't just wash it out.
No, like,
have you ever picked head lice out?
Renting ski boots is like renting condoms. It's like, honestly.
That's like bowling shoes.
People's feet are filthy. And it's like, well, I don't want to buy ski boots because they might fit and be comfortable and actually function as a piece of sporting equipment that makes my day much better. I want to get a filthy one with the guy with every fungal infection in the world has stuffed his feet in there and broken his nails off. Yeah, that's what I want to do. Because renting ski boots makes a lot of sense. You know what? It's just like when I was in Vegas at that brothel and they had the rental condoms. It was fantastic. Saved me a bundle.
Ew.
Every time I peed for the next 9 months, it was like a flamethrower. But other than that, it worked out perfect.
Well, that's how I feel about airplane seats. And I wish they made them all out of leather so that you could just take your Clorox wipes and wipe the thing down. And I'm not a big germaphobe, but it's really gross.
No, airplane seat cloth.
Somebody that could have had some leakage or other incontinence could have coughed and sneezed while they're sitting in that seat. No, I have to sit on there.
Cloth airplane seats make
gross.
Absolutely zero sense.
Anyway,
do they even have cloth airplane seats?
Heck yes. What do you think we sat on last?
Yeah, that's it.
Got to pay more attention.
Well, that's it. I'm wearing wife beaters and not showering for 3 weeks, and I'm just gonna grind on that.
Oh god.
Yeah.
That's so sick. All right, what's next?
Grind.
Next topic.
Let's see
my
what the next
gosh.
topic is. I think we're almost done.
You don't have any. I thought you
I
had some
do.
other unfriendly sky stories.
Oh no, I
know,
do. I do. I have the best
The
unfriendly sky
sad. Tell
story.
them the sad one. I couldn't believe it. What
the
happened?
best unfriendly sky story
About the
is-
poor lady that left
Yeah.
her baby behind.
Yes, that's the one.
I could not believe this. Apparently,
Someone-
our daughter says this happens quite frequently.
A Saudi flight from Jeddah, Saudi Arabia to Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, turned around in 2019 when a mother told staff she'd forgotten her baby in the terminal.
How do you forget your? Okay, maybe it's her first child. It's 6 weeks old. She's not used to having baggage to take along with her. You know, you hear those horrifically sad stories of people going somewhere with their kid in the backseat of the car, and it's not a routine thing, and they get out and they forget them, and people can't understand that. But I guess maybe in this situation, that's what happened. Like, it's like you're not used to toting your kid around and you just get up and go. I did that with carry-on baggage. I never, ever used to take carry-on luggage. The first time I did, what happened? I got up out of the restaurant, walked away. I did the bad thing in the airport and I left the bag unattended, walked away and almost forgot my carry-on with all my valuables.
You're right.
I went back and it was still, because
And
I'm
it
not
was-
used to
It's like
taking it.
Ahmed Abdul, can you watch my bag for me whilst I leave?
Now, obviously, a human is a different story, but
It's a human
there's
being.
got to be there's got to be a reason you'd forget a baby.
Yeah, you're
Like she was
wasted.
trying to.
That's the
possible.
reason. You're wasted.
That's possible. I could.
I mean, it was in Saudi Arabia, so her chances of being
Yeah.
wasted were exceptionally low.
I know, but
Especially as a woman, where you can't legally drive a car. You probably can't order wine or whatever either.
do you remember leaving the kids anywhere? Purpose?
No.
Or, yeah, on purpose?
No. No.
Forgetting
But
it?
I remember the 25 seconds that we lost our son when he was 8 years old.
It was
or
longer
9.
than that. It was probably 2 minutes and 25 seconds. It
in
was
Universal
It was about a good 10 minutes.
during spring break, and
All that awful Disney Ricky Rat hand, right?
oh, it was unbelievable. That was unbelievably terrifying.
It was crowded.
When we found him, was he ever pissed off at us?
He was pissed off at us that we left him behind. Poor kid. I was terrified.
I wish we'd all been ready. Take your kid to Universal.
Okay, we're done.
Jesus comes and you've been left behind. At the SpongeBob ride behind.
That happened to me when I was a child. I got
You've been left at the SpongeBob ride behind.
separated from my family at the giant
Freaking
air
Larry
show in Abbotsford, British Columbia. And my mom went to the bathroom and told me not to leave as I stood outside the ladies.
Yeah.
And what did I do? Because
You
I was like
left.
4. I left. And there was panic that ensued. And I was gone a lot longer. And then there was
Oh, no,
the
they
PA.
didn't
Can
have
you
to
do the PA? Would the parents of May Burgess please come to the Lost and Found?
Would the irresponsible human refuse, in other words, the parents of May Burgess, please come to the
Lost and
military
Found, Jen.
installation
Anyway.
under the wing of the Avro Arrow, which unfortunately was the demise of Canadian aviation.
Parents' worst nightmare that lose their child in a crowd like that because of all the crap that happens. You think someone's taking your kid for real. Any other unfriendly skies stories?
Not really.
Nothing you
No,
want to
we're
share?
bumping the revel limiter.
You're not going to tell about another diarrhea story down
No,
the
I
aisle?
wish there was more diarrhea stories because they're just so good.
Oh, there's so
The
many.
The
of them.
last one, like the diarrhea, like, and again, it amazes me that diarrhea on an airplane is not more common.
Yeah, you think?
It's just like you see somebody carrying a bag of Taco Bell onto an airplane, and that plane is turning around. There's just virtually no chance of you ever getting to your place on time. Not going to happen. Not going to happen. All right. We got
The meme of the week.
meme of the week,
What could that be?
which is a very good AI rendering of George Orwell reading the brand new book 2024 and pooping his pants. He's so freaked out by it compared to 1984. So Yes, I think that's apropos given what's going on in our day and age.
Or George rolling over in his grave. What else can we say?
Well, I mean, these guys, like the thing is, I've said this numerous times. We've written about it, which is the whole business of, if you really want to understand what's going on, you don't ask a historian, you don't ask a scientist, you ask an artist, because they have insights that I think into collective consciousness that are far more real. It's to the point where, Tom Clancy used to lecture to the CIA about how to visualize scenarios that can happen, right? And so when you look at guys like Huxley and Orwell, and they saw the veins of truth and where they could go, right? And so you might have had 50 different veins of truth, and they went, well, human beings tend to go to trying to control each other. Governments always tend to degrade into oligarchies or tyrannies or whatever. So what's that going to look like if it's a modern tyranny? It's not going to be the same as it was in ancient times. It's going to be completely different. And so it's kind of a logical thread that you can pull. And if you're a good artist, you can spin the yarn, so to speak, around that. And I think that's why you got to read fiction, because you got to keep the imagination part alive, because there's some spooky stuff out there.
What's the best fiction you've read lately?
Oh, that's easy. Jack Carr.
Mm-hmm.
He's got 7 books. I just started the 3rd. He's great. He's great because he takes all of his experience as an operator, and he dreamed of writing this stuff from when he was a child, and then he was a SEAL commander and all of that stuff. And he has insiders. Now he's famous, so he can go and get information and research and have researchers do research on stuff. And it's the tales are very well crafted, and they're hilariously violent, because in a book you can talk about how, because the main character likes to kill people with 2 small axes.
I like to read a little different type of novel. And actually, I've just discovered Kristen Hanna. A lot of you are probably laughing at me, but it wasn't until a couple months ago that I read her book, The Women. Amazing book. And now I'm on her second one, A Winter Garden. Not second one of hers, but my second novel by Kristen Hanna that I'm reading. And amazing author. Great character detail. Highly recommend it. So that's where I'm at. Actually, I am reading 2 at once. And I'm also reading my very favorite author, Chris Bohalian. Mm-hmm.
No, he's outstanding.
Yeah.
Really interesting guy, because he writes a ton of his books in the first person as a woman.
Yeah, and I'm
which
reading
I find
this
fascinating.
newest Vegas book, and I can't even remember the name of it because it's on Kindle, and I never stared at the cover, and I've already forgotten the title of it. That's why I hate about reading on Kindle. You don't get to feel the book, turn the pages. And you don't and when you're reading those 950-page Tom Clancy books, you don't get that 8-pound book smashing you in the forehead when you fall asleep at night. Truth.
That's awesome.
That would make me laugh out loud when we're in bed reading. And I'm always up later than him because I wake up.
That was awesome.
He has, I think some of these wrinkles have come from books smashing you on the head. Super funny. Well, we got some great new podcasts coming out. Cocktail of the week for you is it anything special?
No, it's bullet rye with what's that stuff called? Ginger beer. So if I were to put lime in it and put it in a copper cup, it would be called an Irish mule instead of a Russian mule.
I did not know that.
Yes. So there's that. And then the podcast that dropped yesterday, very controversial to most of our medical friends. It's Del Bigtree basically giving his treatsy in about an hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes on what he would say to a young parent on whether they should vaccinate their kids. So that one's worth listening to no matter what side of the aisle you're on, because I think it was very well done, very well presented, incredibly well researched.
If you are involved in any way in kids that get vaccines, whether you're a parent, physician in healthcare, I think you should listen to it.
Yeah, very interesting stuff. I mean, exactly what I believe. I'm not entirely sure, but my
You're what?
my thoughts are evolving, and my as evidence is presented to me in such an amazing way.
And if you're at all engaged in the show and reading the comments, one of our, I won't even give it away who it is, who dbauer65 is, because we know dearly who he is. His latest diarrhea story, I can't even believe I'm saying this out loud, is waking up at 3 a.m. and having a toilet soup episode just before leaving on a fishing trip, where you find the boat has no toilet. Of course not, other than the 5-gallon bucket on deck. That's no fun. I would rather just hang my cheeks over the side or go swimming.
I don't know, man.
That's chumming for fish right there. Well, you're afraid Jaws is going to come up and catch you.
I just do not know.
You know what I think I would have done? dbauer65. I think I would have called up, said, I'm out.
Toilet soup. I like that. It's almost giving me a film in my mouth when I hear that. Anyways, well,
that was a happy ending, right?
Yeah, we are off. We're off to the country. We're not country doctors anymore. We're country club doctors. And tonight is Jimmy Buffett, or as I like to say, James Buffet night.
And well, it's a buffet with Jimmy Buffett.
Cheeseburgers in paradise.
And you already got your shirt on.
I do.
Instead of do you have a Jimmy Buffett t-shirt?
No, that was never my style. But anyways, until next week.
Signing out.
We have some great stories, great medical stories that will really, really, really piss you off. So until then, stay BS free, have a drink, and good night.
It's no secret that medicine is a bit uptight. That's why Tim and I created BS Free MD, to mix things up a little and have fun in the process. Besides, we are having these exact same discussions all the time, so we thought we might as well invite everyone to the party. If you really like us, you can get plenty more and maybe see one of Tim's cool tattoos on our Instagram or Facebook pages at BS Free MD. See you next time.
While we try to keep BS Free MD as raw and real as possible, we can't be held responsible for any medical decisions or discussions had as a result of what you've heard on the show. We know, bummer. But the truth is, we really do care about your questions. So feel free to reach out to us by email at doc@bsfreemd.com.